wake in darkness, the air thick with the smell of damp stone and unwashed bodies. The floor beneath you is cold, and every movement sends a dull ache through your ribs. A shackle, heavy and rusted, bites into your ankle. In the silence, you hear the faint sound of laughter echoing from somewhere above. Not the kind that warms a room, but the kind that twists your stomach. A warning. Footsteps approach, sandals scraping against marble. You know who it is before. The doorway fills with his shadow, the overseer. His frame blocks the thin strip of light from the hall. "Up," he says, tossing a damp cloth at your feet. "The master has guests tonight." His eyes wander over you the way a merchant might inspect livestock. You're 15 now, or maybe 16. You stopped counting birthdays when you were taken. The memory still burns. The day your father couldn't pay the debt that hung over your family like a storm cloud. The merchants came with promises, temporary service, good work, safe housing. You were too young to understand what they really meant. The silver they placed in your father's palm was more than he'd seen in years. He didn't meet your eyes when he took it. The journey from your mountain village to the city was a blur of dust, heat, and chains. Dozens of boys walked in silence, necks linked by iron. At night, you were staked to the ground, the cold biting through your thin tunic. The older boys warned you not to hope. "Hope," one said, "is just another way to hurt yourself." When you reached the slave market, you learned to keep your head down. The smell of fear was everywhere, mixed with sweat, urine, and the sharp scent of oil used to make skin shine under the sun. Buyers paced the rows like hunters, stopping to press a hand into your shoulder or pry your mouth open to inspect your teeth. The man who bought you was called Lysandros. Wealth dripped from him, from the purple dye of his tunic to the gold rings on his fingers. His smile was slow, deliberate, like he'd already decided how you would be used. The overseer, Demetrios, brought you to the household. It was larger than your entire village, all marble columns and painted walls. Young slaves hurried through the corridors, carrying trays of figs and wine. Some glanced at you with pity. Most didn't look at all. Your cell was in the basement, walls of thick stone that swallowed sound. Inside, a straw mattress, a thin blanket, and a clay pot for waste. Demetrios explained the rules. Speak only when spoken to. Never look a free person in the eyes. Obey every command without question. And above all, serve the master and his guests in whatever way they require. You didn't understand those words then. You would. If you're drawn into this story and want to uncover more hidden truths from history's shadows, make sure to like this video and subscribe. We've got more untold stories you'll never hear in school. The first time you serve at a symposium, the evening begins almost politely. The guests recline on couches arranged in a circle, voices weaving through talk of politics, trade routes, and philosophy. You move silently, refilling cups, offering plates of roasted meat, figs, and honey cakes. Their words mean little to you, but the tone, the self-assured weight of men who believe the world belongs to them, is unmistakable. At first, their requests seem harmless. "More wine, boy. Bring olives to the far couch. Massage his shoulders. He's had a long day." You obey because hesitation earns the overseer's stare. Then one of the guests, a man old enough to be your grandfather, calls you over. His voice is honeyed, his smile warm, but his eyes, they linger. He asks where you're from, whether you miss your home, whether you've been treated well. His hand rests on your back as you answer, then moves lower. You shift away. His grip tightens. The room quiets. Conversations fade. The air grows heavy with anticipation. You glance toward Demetrios, but he doesn't intervene. He's watching and smiling. What happens next burns itself into your mind in perfect detail. The laughter when you try to pull away, the iron hands holding you still, the way your protests collapse into silence because you understand, suddenly, that nothing you say will matter. When it's over, you return to your cell, your skin raw, where fingers gripped too tightly, your stomach turning from the taste of the wine they forced on you. You lie awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, feeling like something essential has been torn away, not just from your body, but from who you are. In the days that follow, you learn the rhythm of the household's cruelty. Some guests prefer conversation before their entertainment. Others skip the pretense. Certain men are violent, leaving bruises you hide beneath your tunic. Others break you with soft words, convincing you to play along as if you chose this. You see what happens to those who resist. Marcus, a boy your age, tried to escape in his first month. When they caught him, he couldn't walk for days. Another slave refused a guest's request and spent 3 nights chained in the courtyard without food. The message is clear. Pain is certain. Mercy is rare. So you adapt. You learn which guests to avoid and which to humor. You perfect the art of disappearing in plain sight, keeping your voice soft, your eyes lowered, your expression unreadable. You let your mind drift somewhere far away when the worst moments come, watching events as if they're happening to someone else. Months turn to years. The boy who once raced barefoot through olive groves becomes a shadow, obedient, quiet, invisible until summoned. You survive, but each compromise takes something from you. By your 3rd year in the house, you've stopped counting seasons. Your value to the guests is fading, not because you've grown weaker, but because there are always younger faces to take your place. One morning, Demetrios summons you. His voice is flat, almost bored, as he explains. You're being sold, not to another household, to the mines. You've heard the stories. In the mines, the air cuts your lungs like glass. The tunnels collapse without warning. The work breaks bodies in months. No one returns. It's not an execution, but it might as well be. That night, Marcus, the boy who once limped from a failed escape, slips something into your hand. A small piece of sharpened metal. A key if you're clever. A blade if you're desperate. He doesn't speak, but you understand. It's not just a tool. It's a choice. You lie awake, weighing your options. You could run, and likely be hunted, dragged back, and made an example of. You could strike one of them down and take satisfaction in their shock before they kill you. Or you could end it yourself, taking the only control left to you. When dawn comes, you do none of these. You hide the shard in a crack in the wall where another slave might find it. You've lived too long in chains to believe in your own escape. But maybe someone else will. The journey to the mines takes you through mountains that stir old memories. The scent of pine needles after rain, the way light filters through leaves, the rush of streams you once played in as a child. Villages pass by, their people busy with lives untouched by the world you've known. For a moment, you imagine what your life might have been if no one had come to take you. The mining camp is worse than you imagined. Narrow tunnels, hot and airless, twist through the rock. Slaves work by torchlight, their bodies coated in dust, their coughs echoing in the darkness. The overseers here are harsher, their punishments quicker. Quotas are impossible. They are meant to be. And yet, even here, there is something you haven't felt in years. Solidarity. The men and boys share water, pass scraps of food, steady each other when someone's knees give out. They tell stories of their homes, their families, the names of people they've loved. They remember. They make sure no one becomes just a number in the dark. You tell your own story, halting at first, then with more certainty. The boy from the mountain village, the household in Athens, the guests, the laughter, the silence after. You tell it because you realize that even if your body is gone tomorrow, the story might survive in someone else's memory. If stories like this matter to you, if you believe the forgotten deserve to be remembered, subscribe and join us. Together, we can bring more of history's silent voices back into the light. Your end comes quietly, a collapse in one of the deep tunnels. There's no pain, just a rush of earth and the muffled shouts of others trying to reach you. Your last thought isn't of the house or the mines, but of a boy running through fields under a sky so wide it seemed to go on forever. But your story doesn't end with you. It travels in whispers among the miners, carried from camp to camp, until it becomes one more thread in the tapestry of all the forgotten voices that history tried to silence. And somewhere, centuries later, someone will listen and remember.